Are you ready with it? Can you please play the video? So you will see the simple tools they use, which I was talking of. You will see all the material they use, which is
to clean out the impurities. Being extremely porous and fine, it is able to bring out the best details of the basic model. Also, during dewaxing, it is the only mud that can withstand the high temperature of 600 degrees Celsius, while others burn out completely. Mud used preferably is field soil since it gives a better finish. 25% of the mold is also made of cow dung. Once the basic structure has been made and filed, a smooth surface is obtained and is coated with a mix of water and anthill mud using a brush.
Anthill mud because it's very fine.
Before the next step of making the Dokra artifact is carried out, Loban needs to be created. Honey wax is needed for the preparation of Loban. There is no preparation needed to make the wax. Any wax from the market used to make candles can be used here. Although there are variations available, honey wax is used because it is slightly harder than normal wax and therefore easier to work with. Also, the sturdiness means that it doesn't change shape while putting the first layer of sand. The wax is then melted and put in a bucket of water to convert it into a sleet form. From this sheet, they make a thread, thin sheets, or give any other form or shape required. The Loban is ready. The basic structure prepared by the mixture of mud, chaff, and anthill is then decorated with Loban. A wax sheet can also be used. The previously made Loban is drawn into thin wires by heating and pulling. It can further be used to create the jali work, which are intricate motifs and patterns made from the Loban for the final piece. First, the runners are fixed. Runners are channels created in the molds to allow the metal to flow and fill up the entire area with the minimal amount of resistance.
Exactly the process that we follow in our factories.
The model is coated in a solution of water, fine soil, khet ki mitti, which roughly translates to soil of the farm, cow dung, and cotton or jute. The fibers of the cotton or jute bind the solution strongly. This paste helps in sucking out the gases in the mold while pouring the molten metal into the mold. Once this dries, it is coated again with a more solid layer. 2 to 3 pieces, or maybe even more, can be clubbed together to make a bigger mold and avoid waste.
That's our tree making.
The final mold is then coated again and left out to dry. Another underground furnace is prepared and fired to strengthen its walls. It has a connection to a motor that constantly pumps in air to facilitate combustion. Scraps of brass are put in a crucible which is lowered into it and fired till all the brass completely melts and becomes molten. Brass is used because it has a high liquidity and it corrodes slowly. Other alternatives like bronze cool too quickly. Since the metal must reach all the nooks and crannies, it is a requirement that it should cool slowly. The last step of the process, known as Sire Perdu, is a process of casting the final pieces using wax. An earth kiln is made for baking and dewaxing the molds. There are 2 kinds of bricks that can be used to build the kiln. Fire bricks are ceramic based and can withstand a temperature of 1400 degrees Celsius. Terracotta based bricks can bear a temperature of about 800 degrees Celsius. 3 feet high circular kilns are made, as these are better for the circulation of the air. The kiln is divided in 2 parts. The lower holds the burning fire, and the molds are placed on the upper part. These are separated by an iron mesh, and a few rods are placed to support the mold. The molds that were put to dry are placed in the lower part of the kiln to melt the wax. The wax melts and is vaporized, and the negative cavity remains, encased in the soil mixture. The molds are held upright in sand, and the liquid brass is poured into the mold. The metal flows into all the negative cavities and takes the shape of the mold. It is then left for some time to solidify and set. Thus, the casting is completed. The fired and casted molds are hammered. On being broken, the fired mud is separated, it becomes black, and the solidified brass pieces are taken out and washed. Since it is done on a clay model to save wax, the clay inside is hammered and taken out as well. The final piece is ready. The unpolished look of the brass gives it the ethnic look to die for.
Your lost wax casting process, which has been followed for the last 2,000 years. No chemical-based material is used. Everything is natural. Sand, cow dung, grass, soil, whatever else you can think of. Now, can you imagine in today's millennial generation what value this has for them, who are always worried about the earth and the environment in general?